joining us for this powerful, essential workshop in celebrating and remembering death. I see you looking at me in shock and horror, asking at a time like this, especially, how can this woman be celebrating death? What could possibly be positive about death? Well, I definitely understand where you're coming from. You're coming from a culture tangled up and strangled by multiple skeins of death taboos. I too, was a victim of that culture until the truth of Morticism was revealed to me. I was once like you and believed that everything dark, dismal, morbid, uncomfortable, and disconcerting should be kept out of sight and off social media sites. I thought the only time we should think or talk about or see death or see death was in the context of a safely constructed fictional world where death was not real and was happening to someone else. Or dress up death in a cutesy, candy-coated costume and holiday to make it seem even more fantastic. Yes, I'm talking about Halloween, which was originally designed to be a celebration of death. This is the great tragedy of our modern Halloween, the Death Holy Day. Well, I've been charged with spreading a very urgent message, not just in October, but all through the year. And that message is celebrate death. Yes, you heard me correctly. Celebrate death. Because without death, there isn't any life. Light needs shadow to be fully appreciated. Beginnings need ends in order for there to be any story at all. This evening, we're going to explore those death taboos and different attitudes towards death that have been promulgated throughout history. And here's a hint. Our recent generations come in last for progressive ideas about death. So come along and travel with me down death's memory lane so we can whip your attitudes about death and dying into shape. Essentially, as history reveals, there are 4 relationships you can form with death. You can domesticate it, you can claim it as your own, you can frame it as someone else's problem that you have to deal with, or make it a taboo topic and avoid thinking about it altogether. In the scholarly literature, these relationships are referred to as the tamed death, one's own death, thy death, and the forbidden death. Once upon a time, when the world was a place where microscopes, vaccines, antibiotics, and hand sanitizer were the stuff of science fiction, humans could not avoid thinking about, witnessing, and talking about death. They were surrounded by it. So they had no choice but to yield to its power. So when death came to the door, you simply submitted and literally made your deathbed, and you lied down in it. Your deathbed was not a private, medical practitioners only kind of place. No, your bedside was more like a departure lounge where friends, families, and religiously sanctioned afterlife guides, aka priests, gathered to give you a good send-off. You know, making sure you packed everything you would need and made all of the necessary arrangements for your flight into the afterlife. When death was domesticated, it was accepted as a peaceful, natural part of the circle of life. Cemeteries were not the solemn, special occasion type places they are today. No, they were social hubs for dancing, parties, poker tournaments, and peddling merch. For Americans and Europeans, this relationship with death died a long time ago, around the 17th century, when Christians got neurotic about passing the entrance exam for the afterlife. The threat of a last judgment and stricter admissions criteria for heaven got everyone stressed out about their own personal test scores and their own death. Death was now something to be feared, and that fear seeped into every crack of people's living lives. Naturally, when there's an exam, test takers will need study guides, test prep courses, and cheat sheets. And the church was more than happy to oblige. In fact, the church launched a blitzy, intensive ad campaign for its Last Judgment test prep services by creating artwork, paintings, and sculptures with terrifying images and slogans about damnation. And it worked. People were now frightened of death, more motivated to live moral lives, more willing to pay for church services, and desperate to see that they would memorize everything they're going to need to recite on their deathbeds. But whoa, in the 18th century, the showrunners gave death quite a plot twist. Death couldn't just be scary to hold people's interest. No, it needed more drama, some romance, and some sex appeal. Death became show business, and mourning was the subject of every episode of that show. Effusive, outrageous, improvised displays of grief to prove that you are railing against the injustice of death and fighting to keep the memories of the dead alive. Overacted displays of grief, like overwrought poetry, ornate tombs, and opulent offerings, shifted the focus from your own death to OPD, other people's deaths. People romanticized and resisted death so much that death got cancelled, and death eventually became a forbidden taboo topic. And voila, here we are today. We don't talk about death. We don't want to see death. We want to pretend it isn't real and it doesn't actually happen, especially not to us. And with our luxurious medical systems and extended lifespans, we've built a bubble of protection to shield us from the disturbing, insalubrious truths about death. You seem smart, so you know that the forbidden death is not the healthiest relationship you can have with death. You get that, right? Fabulous. So, let's talk about the benefits of celebrating and being mindful of your own death. Benefit numero uno. If you have no delusions about death, your own death, how, when, and to whom it happens, you do the right things to keep yourself healthy. A healthy relationship with death means better relationships with yourself and all of the other humans who are going to die too. Thinking about death can make you happier, less anxious, less depressed, less self-obsessed, because you won't sweat the small stuff. You'll make time for people and things that actually bring you joy. And kissing and making up will happen a lot faster if you're cognizant of your own death. Also, if you're aware that this is a limited time only offer, you're able to get your poop and priorities together faster and focus on achieving your big many asterisks items on your bucket list. You'll focus on what matters most to you. You'll also feel braver when it comes to going after things that are a little scary. Then, when you've conquered the most major issue life will ever throw at you, death, every other issue will seem bush league in comparison. Maybe you'll get more out of art and film because you'll be more open to deep thoughts. You'll search and look at life through a kaleidoscope. Finally, if you get real about death far before your final days, you're going to have a better time dying. You'll make sure you tie up all the loose ends. Spend quality time with high quality people. And maybe even have a lot of fun doing giveaways. If having the best time dying as possible appeals to you, be sure to check out our Morticism workshop and our Attending Your Own Funeral, a live event program, where we explore the radical approach to life called Morticism or funeralism. So with all these amazing benefits of getting real and honest about death, who wouldn't want to celebrate and have a healthy relationship with death? Exactly. That's why we've created the essential Make Your Own Memento Mori workshop. Bye for now. And Memento Mori. Remember, one day you will die. So, carpe diem, carpe noctem. Seize your blessed, precious, limited time